Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. It is Coach Lee, your productivity and accountability coach, here for another Sunday of, you've guessed it, the Success Starter series. Y'all know we go live each and every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about different topics that are all around the ultimate topic of helping you to set your week up for success. Because in doing the work to set your week up for success, you're ultimately doing the work to set your life up for success. And as your productivity and accountability coach, y'all know I'm all about empowering women, especially those in corporate, to find that hidden time in their day, time that they can use to pour back into themselves as they pursue their goals, their purpose, and their life passions, while still maintaining their current responsibilities and taking care of their current responsibilities. So, as we continue in that vein, continue in that theme, continue in that conversation, we're talking today about how to stay consistent even when life be lifing. So basically, how to stay consistent even when it's busy. And honestly, for me, this is a perfect topic, perfect conversation. And here's the thing, I plan a lot of topics for the month just in general, and then sometimes they be lining up and they be lifing with me while my life be lifing. Because it's funny, when I set my intention for this week, my intention for this week is, girl, get it together, get serious. Because this month has been a month of ongoingness, I guess you can say. And I want to make sure that as I'm like showing up and living and showing you guys how I keep it together, so to speak, this topic and this theme is perfectly right in alignment with that, because today has been all about getting it together. Because this month, it felt funny. I don't really, that's not even really what I'm trying to say. But I've had like trainings for work that were virtual, so I could work from home. Then I was off a whole bunch of days. Like I was off the Monday after the training. Then I was off that Friday through Tuesday for Cousins Weekend. Then I was at work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I had to think for a second. And then I'll be at work this week. Well, I'll be off on Friday. And then we'll be getting ready to go into April. And so I've had trainings, things like that, days off work, family time, here, there, everywhere. That it's just felt like it got busy, and I planned and I prepared, but in some ways the planning and the preparation didn't meet reality. And so today's theme and today's topic about staying consistent even when life gets busy is important. And I'm hoping to be able to like talk through some of the things that I did, some of the mistakes I made, and how I'm correcting that, and like how I corrected that even today up until this point. Because you want to ultimately be able to maintain a structure, maintain these habits, maintain your routines without burning out when you go through these waves and these ups and downs of life. Because we're going to have these different seasons where it's going to be busy. That season could be a week, it could be a month, it could be for the quarter, it could be for the year, it could be fill in the blank. And because of that, you need to still be able to show up and get things done. Because even when life gets busy, whether that be your work life, your business life, your personal life, just life as a whole, and all the areas different things are being thrown at you, you want to be able to continue to show up. We don't want burnout to be your portion. We're not here for the stress. We're not here for the overwhelm. We're not here for the things that aren't conducive to who you are as a person and who it is you're looking to become. Y'all know I'm not anti-hard work, but I'm anti-hustle and grind. And so when things get busy, I want to be able to maintain a balance that allows me to show up, work hard, get the things done, but without sacrificing like sleep and things like that. And so today, as we kick off the week, as we talk about starting this week off strong, and as we go into the last week of the month, which y'all know the last week of the month is all about planning for the month ahead. And because this is also the last week of Q1, can y'all believe that quarter one is almost over? It's also about Q2 prep, which is why I will be off on Friday, because the last Friday of each quarter, I take off to plan for the quarter ahead. Yeah. So looking at that, thinking about that, and let's talk through that. Y'all know how we do. We're going to go through, we're going to hit 3 points. If y'all have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop them below as we go through it. But basically, I want to talk about staying on track while avoiding like that all or nothing mentality, that all or nothing trap, the feeling of I got to do it all or I'm not going to do nothing, the feeling of I didn't get it right today, I'm going to just start over next week. Y'all know how y'all do with y'all workouts, when y'all diets and stuff like that. You make a mistake and then you just like, you know what? I'm going to just start over next Sunday or next Monday. Like, no. Just because you messed up for one day doesn't mean that the rest of the week is a wash. And so as we talk about it, like, let's dive in. Like, let's dive into the L. Let's look at why motivation isn't going to be the thing that saves you. The truth is, you have to be consistent, and consistency comes about through discipline. You're not going to always be motivated. You're not. You're not. You're not. And that's why you have to be disciplined enough to stay consistent. And discipline comes about through willpower, which is a mindset thing. So what mindset do you have you created, or have you cultivated, or even how are you living in when it comes to your ability to stay consistent? Do you believe that you can stay consistent? Do you think you can stay consistent? Do you want to be consistent? But just because we want something, if we don't believe that it's possible, we're not going to have it. Just because you believe something is possible, if you don't actually want it, it's not going to happen. Like, things can be possible, but are they possible for you? You might think that, oh, that's only possible for other people, but the reality is, no, it's possible for you if you think it, believe it, and want it, and are willing to do the work to pursue it. So do you feel that motivation is something that you have to have in order to stay consistent? Do you feel that you have to be motivated to do the work? Do you feel that you have to be motivated to stay consistent or to stay disciplined? Do you feel that motivation is what gives you the willpower? What's your thought? I'm hoping your answer is no to that. But if your answer is yes, then that's all right, because hopefully we shift that. Because by taking the time to look at it, we'll realize that that's not the case. The reason that I show up and do things isn't because I'm always motivated, but I'm disciplined enough to do it. And I know that being consistent is what's going to keep me there. So let's use last week for an example. Last week, I guess you could say in the middle of last week. So Friday through Tuesday was off work with my family. And because of that, y'all know, Saturday is normally my brain dump, to-do list, prepare for the week, all the things day. Sunday, I normally go live. I went live with y'all on Tuesday because I didn't have time on Sunday because I was with my family, and I'm like, I wasn't going to stress it. Actually, it was a cross between, I had weekend duty. By the time I finished weekend duty and got to my office at work to drop off the paperwork, my reminder was going off to go live, and then I still had a 45-minute drive back to the Airbnb, and it was like, it's not going to happen. And so I went live on Tuesday because I still wanted to give y'all some tools to set yourself up for the week. Because again, just because something doesn't happen on the day that you wanted to happen, did that mean I threw the whole week away? No. And because I didn't necessarily get my brain dump and to-do list together, when I came back on Tuesday, I took time to say, what do I need to get done for the rest of this week? What do I need to do now that I'm back home to be prepared to show up to go to work tomorrow? And so when you look at it, when you think about that, that was discipline. I wasn't really motivated. Like, after being at that Airbnb with my family, enjoying our time, where I was going to sleep at the time I normally wake up. I know I wake up at the crack of dawn, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. But we were up, hanging out, having fun. My alarm is going off telling me to wake up, and I'm still up from the night before. So do you think that after 3-4 days of that I really wanted to come home and do work to prepare for the week? Unpack a suitcase, make sure my clothes is picked out for the week, make sure I got food. Did y'all think I really wanted to do that? No. But I was disciplined enough to do that because I knew what was going to be on the other side of that. I knew that if I did this, I would feel good. I knew that if I didn't do this, I wouldn't feel good. And even, let's look at last night coming into today. Normally on Sundays, I wake up 4:30-ish in the morning to get up, do my morning routine and everything like that before church. Last night, I got home 9:15, 9:30 last night. Y'all know I'm normally in the bed asleep by then. And I decided that I needed to wake up today at 2:30 to be able to set the tone and set my intention for the day, because I knew the day was going to be a busy day. And not really so much busy, but because I now have the group that I'm doing with my best friend, like the Bible study group, that takes up most of my Sunday afternoons or Sunday evenings because it starts at 6 p.m. So I got to leave at 5:30. It ends at like 7:30. So by the time I get back home, it's 8, which means it's time to pretty much do the nighttime routine and wind down. But then with church in the morning, come from church, I have a little bit of time before my clubhouse room. Then I go live. I thought I had a podcast interview. So I knew I had small pockets of time. And if I was coming off of getting back in town on Tuesday, having 2-3 days of getting it together, but then I was in Orlando all day yesterday, so didn't do I didn't actually do my whole morning routine. I did it later in the day. But didn't do my normal stuff to prepare for the week. I knew for me, coming off of a week where I already was trying to get back into the groove, coming into this week, still trying to get in the groove, wasn't gonna do it for me. So I decided, because I was disciplined, to know that me being consistent and prepping for the week is what sets me up for the week. I was disciplined enough to say, I know I just got home. I know I'm probably a little bit tired. I'm going to get up to get this done. And as I'm here on this live, I feel amazing about that. Because I've done, unpacked, cleaned up, closer prep for the week, done my to-do list, done my brain dump, update my dry erase board. Like, I still have some more stuff to do to finish prepping, but nothing really major. Like, I just need to do my content stuff. But doing that this morning was a sacrifice, but it was a sacrifice that was worth taking. It was a sacrifice that was worth making, because I'm disciplined enough and disciplined enough and had enough willpower to want to be consistent. And in seeing how it made me feel, the motivation comes. So as I did my brain dump, had a game plan, I'm like, okay. Now I'm feeling motivated to start going through it and getting it done. So you're not going to always feel motivated when you start. And that's why you can't let motivation be the guiding force that makes you show up and do something. It ain't going to happen. And so once you understand that, you can then understand that as we dive into the examination phase, if you look and you can understand that motivation isn't going to be enough, then you can examine, okay, what will be? What will help me to show up and do the work? How can I pivot instead of quitting? Because when life gets to life, the example that I was using earlier when I was saying about when you start these workout routines, you start eating healthy and you mess up for one day and next thing you know, I'm going to start over on Monday. Girl, it's Tuesday. Why are you canceling out 5 days of the week to say you're going to start over next Monday? No, you can start over right now. So do that. And so that's where being willing to pivot instead of quitting also comes into play. So I could have decided when I came home on Tuesday of last week to say that, nah, I'm not going to do my brain dump. I'm not going to make me a to-do list. I'm not going to try to create a game plan for the rest of this week, even though I got to go to work. I know I got to go back out of town on Saturday for the day. I know I got other stuff that I need to do. I could have decided that, I'm going to just throw the week away because I'm out of the groove or whatever, and wait until next week to start over, i.e. now. Why? Why would I do that? That's how you get out of the groove, and that's why your I'll start over next week becomes a I'll start over next month. Maybe we'll try again next year. No. What's that saying? Stop throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Just because one thing went wrong, and half the time it didn't even go wrong, just because one thing inconvenienced you doesn't mean you got to give all of it away and stop doing the things you were doing. And so when you can understand that if you're willing to do the work to adjust, to pivot instead of quitting, you'll be able to continue to stay consistent even when life gets busy. Because understand this, when I say consistency, like I've said many times before, consistency doesn't necessarily mean every day. Depending on what it is that you're doing, your definition of consistency for that task might be doing it 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. It might be a daily thing. It might be a weekly thing. I want to consistently make a to-do list. I want to consistently do a brain dump. Maybe making your to-do list is something you want to do every day. Maybe doing the brain dump is something you want to do once a week. Maybe working out is something you want to do 3 to 4 times a week. Understand that consistent doesn't have to mean daily. You define what consistency is, but you have to give it a number. You have to give it a metric. Is it a certain number of times a month, a week? Is it something that you need to do daily or multiple times a day? Say, for example, say I want to be consistent in brushing my teeth 2 times a day. Is that morning and nighttime, morning and afternoon? Do you just need to brush your teeth twice a day and now you've been consistent in that? So understand that when life gets to happening, you need to be willing to pivot, to roll, to tuck and roll instead of just quitting. Because if you keep quitting, you're going to keep falling off track and you're never going to get that momentum, which leads to that motivation that's going to help you to stay consistent. Because like I was talking about with the consistency aspect, you're not going to always be motivated enough to do it. But that's where the discipline and stuff comes in. But by being disciplined enough to do it and being consistent enough to do it, you start seeing the results of that. And through getting those results are often what gives you that motivation and that momentum to keep going. So if you keep quitting, you're never going to get that momentum. Think about it like if you're in a traffic jam. If you're driving down the road, you on I-4, if you're in Florida, good God, you're on I-4 and you're driving. and you got the green, it's not a green light because it's the highway. You on the interstate, you driving. But then you see the marquees that talk about how in 3 to 4 miles, it's a 15 minute slowdown, or the next 3 miles take 10 to 15 minutes, however they break it down. And so you're cruising, and you know coming up, there's going to be a roadblock, and you like, okay, maybe it's going to be gone by the time I get there. Maybe I'm going to take this detour. What am I going to do to avoid this? Or if it's unavoidable, how am I going to get my momentum back going? You get in these slowdowns, you get in these ruts where you hit that traffic jam and now you're stopped. You're not cruising at 60, 70, 80 like you was. Now you lucky if you're going 20, 30 and you just moving through, trying to keep going. Or you're having to do that stop and go. Like, okay, it's better to be able to keep momentum. You almost would rather be in that slowdown where you're going at a consistent 20 to 30 miles per hour versus where you're speeding up to 60 and 70 and then every couple of miles you're having to slam on brakes and it's like standstill. You want to keep moving. You want to keep momentum. Like when you're in a traffic jam, you don't just sit there and stop because you know it's a traffic jam and wait for all the cars to get 2-3 miles down the road before you keep going. No, because all you're gonna do is get back up to those 2-3 miles and have to stop again. So when you think about pivoting and adjusting instead of quitting, that's what you kind of need to think of it as. What can I do to keep something going? Because even when I was away and like I was doing / not fully doing my morning routine, I was doing it, just wasn't always in the morning. Like last night, I didn't finish my morning routine when I was at my sister's house. I did my workouts right before lunchtime. I did one thing of reading. And then when I came home, I still had to finish my morning reading before I went to bed. But I did it. So my morning routine was finished, just not all in the morning. I finished the things. And so sometimes you have to be willing to make those pivots to say, I'm going to get this done. It just might not look the same as it normally looks. My decision to go live on Tuesday for Success Starter Series, which clearly is my Sunday live, was a done is better than perfect. And so when you look at adjusting and pivoting instead of quitting, that's the mentality and that's the mindset you should be coming into it with. Done is better than perfect. What can I do to continue to show up, to do what I need to do, even in the midst of the things that are going on and the way in which they are going on? And so that takes me to the final thing, the execution. Like, what can I do to show up? Create yourself like this 10-minute motivation, 10-minute reset, 10-minute something. I don't know, child. Do something. So for me, that's something that I typically always do when life gets to lifing is I do a brain dump and I make a to-do list. At least one of the two, preferably both. That's what I did. This morning, my decision to wake up at 2:30 was so that I can do a brain dump of what I needed to get done for today, specifically just to be prepared for the week. Got the bonus task as well. Time blocked out my day to decide what was that going to look like. On the way to church, after I had already made this to-do list at home and was starting to work through it. On the way to church, I was like, okay, well, when I get out of church and get home, I'm going to have an hour and a half. What specifically can I get done before my next task that's on this list? I came with a list of things. I got all of those things done before my clubhouse room started at 11:30. And so when you start looking at and thinking about like, what is this like 10-minute, what can I do in 10 minutes to get me going? It could be doing a task, starting a task. It could be writing down and thinking about what do I need to do and maybe even in what order do I need to do this, that this is going to help me to do. That's the execution phase. Because if you look at it, you understand motivation ain't going to do it. I just have to be consistent. I just have to have the willpower. I just have to be disciplined enough to do it. If you understand that it's better to pivot and adjust instead of just quitting and doing nothing and saying, I'll do it later, then you can understand that if I just need to do something, what's a 10-minute task I can do to get something done? What is something that I can do so that I'm not wasting my time, but I'm doing something that's going to help move me forward? Maybe it's a 5-minute task. I would say maybe it's a 2-minute task, but honestly, there is a lot of things you can do in 2 minutes. But none, because you can really do a brain dump and a to-do list in 2 to 5 minutes. But I'm calling it a 10-minute task because typically we always got like 10 minutes. It's normally always that time when you have like 5 to 10 minutes for you to do the next thing that you like. Well, what do I do at this time? Come up with something that you can do that's going to help move you forward. Like I said, for me, it's a to-do list. It's a brain dump. I would suggest and challenge you to say it's probably the same thing for you because there's always, what can I do next? What you can do next is make a list of what you need to do next. so that you can stop keeping it up here, so that you can actually go about doing it. Because maybe when you're working on creating this list of this task, and it only takes you 2-3 minutes, you still got 5 to 7 minutes left, and you like, I just made this list. You know what I can do real quick? I can do one of these things on this list. And now you're like, you know what? I feel accomplished. And so understand that when it comes to staying consistent, consistency is about you continuing to show up. Even when life gets to lifing, even when life gets busy, you can still be consistent. You can still show up. By having this structure, by having these routines, it helps you to show up and to do the thing, whatever the thing might be, while life is lifing, and doing it without burnout. Because by you taking these pockets of time and doing something with the pockets, you're able to be consistent by whatever definition you have of consistency for that specific task, for that specific thing. And so I want you to understand that as you look at and think about being consistent, as you look at and think about what's next, as you look at and think about how can I plan and prepare for what's to come, use that and put that to work. Understand that, look to see what motivation or waiting for motivation is costing you. It's costing you that I'll do it later. Understand that consistency comes from systems, not from feelings. And then if you can look and understand, and you can examine why taking the time to adjust and to pivot instead of quitting is the best thing for you to do. And then if you can look and examine that, you can create that game plan to execute by having this 10-minute motivation. 10-minute, no, not motivation. I keep saying motivation because I want to put them together. This 10-minute like momentum drive. This 10-minute action that you can get going in some way. Okay? So that's our live for today. That's how to stay consistent even when life gets busy. And if you're looking at this, listening to this, and you're hearing this and you're like, bet, I hear you. I don't know how to execute. Let's have a conversation. Because if you're ready to create a simple morning routine that's going to help you to stay consistent no matter what happens when life gets to life, because my morning routine, I got it done. Just wasn't all done in the morning, but I got it done. Typically, I always get it done in the morning. You need to be at the masterclass this coming Saturday, March 29th, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Master Your Mornings Masterclass, so that you can learn and understand how to create a flexible routine that will work for you even when life gets to life. You want a routine that fits into your real life, even when it gets busy. And because I've been doing this so long, my morning routine is a lot more complex than yours needs to be. But at this point, I just call my morning routine like the first 5 hours of my morning, essentially, at this point, because I do the same things when I wake up. The order might slightly change. So if you're ready to learn how to create a morning routine that works for you, that can help set you up for the day so that you can eliminate the stress, and you can eliminate the overwhelm, so that you can understand what it is you need to get done and get done the things you need to get done, join the masterclass. Comment the word morning or go to the link in my bio. Get registered. It's free. What do you have to lose because you already been wasting enough time? What more do you have to lose? If you can't make it live, get registered. I will send the replay out after class. So that's what we got. Are you going into this week prepared to be successful? Are you starting your week with the intention of being successful? How are you going to stay consistent this week? If you look at your week and you know your week is busy, what can you do now to prepare yourself for what's to come? How can you stay consistent even when life gets to life, even when life gets busy? You can look to understand that motivation ain't all it's cut out to be. It's not all that you need. You can examine and in doing the examination realize that adjusting and pivoting is going to be better for you than quitting. And you can create that game plan to execute by having a 10-minute routine that can just set you up for success and help you to get going and get something done. So get registered for the masterclass if you're interested. But until next time, it's been Coach Lee, your productivity and accountability coach, here for another Sunday of the Success Starter series. Until next week, well, until Saturday if y'all come to the masterclass. But until next week, Coach Lee is